But yet when you look at them, the first thing you see is a black man, African. Why is that? Because of the stigma attached to that continent. We've got to do something. We've got to change our situation. Nobody's going to do it for us. We've got to do it. We can never say we are waiting for a white man to change it. Malcolm X said something. He said there can never be a white-black unity until there is first black unity. Now, there is something that I want to read from the book, one of the chapters. That is the last chapter actually, but it kind of summarizes the book. So for such a long time, we have lived in a world where another race tells us who and what we are. We have been lied to, bullied, dictated to, and in many ways have even been told how to live our lives. Despite all of these things, although many of us seem to have recognized the problem, our race has done very little to change the situation. We are in a perpetual state of self-denial and often try to avoid conversations relating to the subject. We seem uncomfortable and somewhat reluctant to face the truth. Many of us try to ignore it or push it to the back of our minds and attempt to get on with our lives, thinking the problem will go away. Why do we allow this to continue when it is obviously destroying us? Our children have become wayward and are being abused, exploited, and murdered. Our relationships do not usually survive, and we are mentally and physically drained. One of the main ways by which we could change the situation is to step out of the shadows of those whose actions created our condition in the first place. As difficult as it may appear, we have to try to break away from the Eurocentric culture and learn to practice our own cultural values, just like the Asians in the diaspora. Because that is what will define us as a people. Many of us have got to stop deceiving ourselves that we are something else, white people in black skin, when we know very well that we are not and never will be. In case we do not realize it, we are making a mockery of ourselves. Who are we afraid of? And who are we trying to impress? Let us be proud of who we are and leave the slave mentality behind us. Another major solution to our problem is to be more responsible parents. I implore all recent fathers and mothers to step forward and take up their responsibilities by filling the void in the lives of their children. That is why most of our children are going wayward anyway. Because for most of the time, the fathers are not there. Even for those of us who are around, we must remember that feeding and clothing a child is not the same as raising a child. Our children are brought up in a corrupt society, which is clearly destroying their lives. Whether we are parents or not, we can still be part of the solution, since the development of our youth is the responsibility of our entire community. As the saying goes, it takes a whole village to raise a child. Generations ago, the extended family played an important role in the upbringing of children. Extended family did not end with one's own family. It comprised whole communities and even include people who did not have children of their own. They were able to discipline children regardless of which family they belonged to, and also felt responsible for their welfare and education. Any child born into the community automatically belonged to the whole community. This resulted in communities being united by a bond stronger than one can imagine. Amazingly, this is still practiced in many black homelands. But unfortunately, those of us living in the diaspora seem to have abandoned this way of life due to the influences and pressures of our society. The society in which we live today does not permit us to discipline our own children. Disciplining one's own child is regarded as a crime or even assault on the child, and in many cases carries a jail sentence. As a result of this, children are displaying more antisocial and delinquent behavior. The days of complacency are over. It is now time to roll up our sleeves and get our hands dirty. These children need us. And what we parents need to do is teach them values and discipline the African and Caribbean way.